Okay, and welcome to Peeker's Advantage, episode 16. Normally Darian's here to tell me what episode we're on, but Darian's not here today. Unfortunately, Darian.
He's died.
Yeah, Darian got into
Dead.
an incredibly.
He just egoed us, man. It's the first time I've seen a host ego us or a producer ego. It's like, oh, this is our guest.
dusT, for
I can't
fuck's
be
sakes,
asked.
man. The man just died. Give him a break.
Oh wow, okay.
Holy fuck,
Alright,
man.
man.
Like Jesus.
So
like
it's weird.
you don't shut the fuck up about Smiths for any time before the show starts, and now all of a sudden you're talking shit about our dead producer. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. But
man,
anyways,
stop railing people.
like,
I'm actually gonna feel really
just
bad
give
if something
somebody a
that
break.
actually happened to him.
No, I know that's actually a fair point. Actually, fair point, dusT. Actually, that's true. That is
We
a
actually
risk.
all in the dark on that one. We actually
Don't know where he is. But unfortunately, Darian's not here today, which means I am producing the show. So that's why there's a bit of a scuffed overlay everybody's looking at.
You can still add it to your resume that
Yeah,
you've done this.
that's true. No, yeah, that's great for all my producer gigs I'm going to be applying for in the future. But yeah, so that's why we don't have any of the cool stuff going on in the background, and everything's a little bit scuffed. But I did my fucking best given the situation, and we're just gonna have to roll with it. So dusT, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been DreamHack Malmo is going on right now as we speak. You've been casting that with Vince over the weekend. So how you been?
Been good. Obviously, it was a marathon. Like we casted 10 mats back to back on day one. And then day two was kind of light, but then yesterday was the last day, and we had that game that was like the fourth longest game in CSGO history. It's like 66 rounds of overpass between Fear and Fnatic, and so that was a marathon of a day as well. So
That just sounds
very tiring.
awful because that map sucks in general. So.
I mean, to be fair, the rounds were actually pretty exciting. So it was.
I was
actually
about
fun
to say, as far as like long, terrible games go, that one was actually pretty good because you've got two teams. Like those are the two teams you would want if you're gonna have some like slugfest of just 65 rounds of 66 rounds of CS.
Right.
Furia Fnatic is pretty good.
That's what helps a marathon too. Is like if you have a really good game, then it kind of just gives you that energy that you're not going to get from anything else. That kind of lets you get through it without making it feel like a drag. So it actually was a lot of fun casting events for the event, and it was fun to be a part of it.
Well, speaking of energy, they're now EG. And
Indeed.
First topic of the day, they of course have won ESL New York. Our guest last week, Devil Walk, actually predicted them to win. So legend, Jonathan, I managed to fucking pick that. Good for him. What did everybody think about the event? Very general sweeping statement. Alex, we'll go to you since you were there.
Yeah, so at the event, first thing I gotta say is that the press area was pretty nice. I was working media at the event, writing some stories and doing some interviews, and they accommodated pretty nicely. There was catering. I've never done press at an event before, so I don't know what your guys' experience with this stuff is, but yeah, just nice catering, lots of free beverages, free food, and stuff like that. And also the room, it was very clear, like oh, a team is coming. Sign up for the players you want to sign up for. Like whatever they did was just really clean, and just like I got the interviews I wanted to get. And also walking between the press area and the general admission area, like on the floor, there was just so much energy in the arena at any given time. Especially, I think it's probably also because North American teams did well at the event,
but they weren't there. They're EG now.
Yeah, true. EG, a North American organization, right? So
that was an energy pun there.
Yeah, I made my fair share of energy puns with people there. It was I got pretty tired pretty fast.
For anyone that didn't laugh that's watching, it was very funny, the joke I just made. So,
and in case you might just be watching on audio form and not the YouTube, it was even funnier on the video form. So
yeah,
you're missing out.
We're just hilarious.
Yeah, so you're missing out. But for me, the big thing wasn't even just so much that EG won. It was like how dominant they were against Astralis in the final. Like they actually dominated Astralis in that final. Astralis never looked like they were in the game at any point.
Device kind of got raped. Like I feel like Device playing poorly in the finals was like a big reason why they like had such an easy time, because he's such a big performer on that team. I don't know. Like if you look at the stats, he's red, I think, in like 4 of the games in a row. So
yeah, that's unusual for them.
But the Device is just super consistent, like, you know, like even when they lose, usually he's like
he's usually on top of everything for sure for Astralis. I felt like EG, they just, I mean, they did a really good job like neutralizing him. Device couldn't really ever get going, and I mean, Breeze is just the Astralis killer. Let's be real. Like this guy has been on top of it every damn time they play against them. Like, I don't know how he's always caring so hard, but something about teamwork just does not work against Breeze.
Yeah, it's like it's weird because like the way that EG was calling their T sides, like I really obviously everybody here knows I have a lot of respect for Stanislaw and the way he calls, and the change of pace that they were constantly doing was like sometimes they were going really fast, sometimes they were slowing down. They were winning all the clutch rounds too, which was crazy when you watched it back, like the 3v4s, 2v3s, 2v4s. It was crazy all the clutch rounds they were winning, which is usually Astralis' bread and butter. So like the way they beat them was like really convincing.
I remember
I think. Go on.
Go on. No, you go.
All right, I was just gonna say that. I mean, I feel like EG, like part of them reminds me of Liquid's Prime, and part of them reminds me as well as Optics Prime, where they have a lot of the same strengths. Where you have a bunch of players who are very excellent at being flexible in what roles they wind up playing within a round or within a default. And so that always gives you a situation where if they see an advantage on the edge of the map, like if Ethan's playing the edge of the map or Breeze is doing it a lot lately now because Tarek has kind of gone to entering with Stanislaw, they can go for that play. Like they can feel very confident taking that play. That opens up like a whole new tree, like the flow chart of like what you can do next in your protocols or something like that. Not only that, but there is times where they just load up in the box and just go in together. Like, you know, this S5 or S4 into an area of the map or into a bomb site. And it's that same thing that we used to always say about Liquid. It's like, all right, let's say you kill Nitro or Stewie first because they're the first guy in. Well, guess what? I got Twist and Leech coming next. And so I know that I'm going to get that trade. At the very least, I'm going to probably go 1-for-1 or something like that. I'm going to open up this bomb site. And it really is the same way with EG right now, because even if it's like Stanislaw or Tarek going in first, well, if they die, you have Breeze coming in next, who literally used to spend most of his career as an entry fragger, and he's very good at it. Even Ethan has at times done it, and obviously has a good rifle. And so they have so much. I think the one thing they have that Liquid does not have is they have a consistent star level opper. Like, it's musical chairs over on Team Liquid, and all of them can have some impact with the op depending on the map. But Cirque is just this crazy X factor, and the style of opping he have is very punishing. It's very unforgiving. It's really flashy. It's a lot of pressure you have to deal with when he comes in. And he was having one of the biggest tournaments of his life at New York, I feel like. I mean, he was right on Breezy's heels for the MVP. I think he's been playing like really well, especially since Stanislaw's come in as the in-game leader. Like, Cirque is just, I'm not sure what the difference is between the leadership of Stanislaw and Daps and why this is the case, but I feel like Cirque is just really starting to hit his stride, and I think he is insane.
Yeah, I can definitely agree that I think Stanislaw has like really enabled Cirque, and he's just like instilled some kind of confidence. And when we talked before about Stanislaw on this podcast, and even to him, it's kind of struck me before that Stanislaw isn't like a captain. Like, he doesn't really rally people all the time, but you could see the emotion on his face in that BO5.
Yeah.
Like, he was like pounding the desk like right away, and I don't think I've ever really seen him like have this much emotion. It was like so inspiring, and when you're playing behind him, like everyone's willing to contribute. Everyone's like, it feels like everybody believed in each other there, and I don't know if it's some kind of like honeymoon org phase or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but Stanislaw showed a side of himself that it was really refreshing.
You know, even like seeing him like when he came on the podcast and like you said, we talked to him about it, and he was talking about how, like, you know, he's matured now, he's older, he's doing things like historically you wouldn't have seen him coming on many podcasts, doing many interviews, and I think now, I don't know if he's realized or just kind of decided that he wants to actually show his personality more now. Because before, everyone would say he's this really quiet, he's just sort of sits there, does his thing, quiet guy. And of course, for me knowing him for so long, he's not that guy at all. Like, but at the same time, if a player decides that's what they want their public persona to be like, if they want to, they don't want to show much personality, they want to just sit down, do their job, and sort of like move on with everything else, then, you know, that's their prerogative. Lots of players do that, to be fair, and lots of players don't show a lot of their personality. Breeze is one of them. Has anybody ever heard Breeze do an interview or talk for any extended period of time? Like, I don't think anybody has. But knowing the guy, he's actually like a really funny, talkative guy, but he just doesn't like to show that personality. And I think now Stanislaw is showing like his, because he's always had this really strong competitive edge. He used to play competitive sports, all that shit, and now he's actually like showing that more publicly to everybody else, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see. I love it. Like, I love that he's showing how competitive he is and how much he cares about it, because then people are gonna realize now, instead of sort of just writing him off.
And here's the other big thing. I don't know whether to credit Stanislaw to this or whether it's I'm a pet, because it's always really hard to gauge when like those are the two leadership figures when it comes to like map pick ban and tactics and stuff like that. But dude, this map pool that EG has now is just ridiculous. Like, their dusT 2 has jumped to soaring heights now. Like I never thought of them as a dusT team before now, but their dusT record is insane. They've turned their Inferno around. Like it's way better than it used to be as far as results go. They've maintained some of their strengths on maps like Train and stuff like that that they had in the past. And now because of this, because their map pool is like so expanded, now they can fuck with people in map pick ban situations. You saw that a lot. Like I think they had several different maps they pick into at New York, including like the little curveball vertigo they pulled out on FaZe. And so it's one of those things where now they can, it's almost Kerrigan-esque in that way now that they can mess with people in pick ban. So I think those are some other big things that help them out a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know. Personally, I think like the win is like really impressive, but also not many people had much on them. So I think like in the future, it's going to be harder for them, you know, like to continue that sort of like kind of dominance they had at the event. Because as soon as you can watch demos and to kind of see like the flow of the strats, like how Breeze is owning everyone, like what Cirque's doing, I think it becomes harder to consistently perform. Like, I don't know, they had all the hype from EG behind them, the big signing and everything. They're relatively like hard to scout. I don't know. I think they had a good like run in New York. I think like they had a lot of things going their way.
That's tough. I mean, they played the major in Cologne together, so there definitely was some film out there on them, and they haven't changed too much. So I don't know. Like I think maybe
but they were like a pretty
attention.
new team though.
Sure.
Like with Stanislav, like they had more time to refine for New York. I think. I don't
Also,
know.
I
Like
did say-
I didn't really think that they did bad at their last event. I was just kind of like, they're just got a new caller. You know, they still have to. They have to work on things, you know.
Yeah,
They made the most of the player break, it seems like, too. Like, you could clearly tell how much they've worked on stuff whenever they went into Berlin and when they went into this tournament. It seems like they didn't take any time off during that player break.
Yeah, and I've been saying this too. Like even when they won, like they said, they dominated them. It looked really impressive, but it's also not super easy to replicate the way they won those series, because like I was saying, and like you were saying, dusT, is that like sometimes they would just go in there, they would just 4-man a spot and just clean house. Like Astralis would just boom, and it felt like everybody that was there just died at once. It was just like bam, 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 everybody's dead. And then
I'm not taking anything away from their win. I just think like going forward, it's going to be hard. Like
it's going to be hard to replicate
like,
that. Like the way they won that series so dominatingly is not going to be easy to replicate in future series. But now they have the mental edge over them too, which is what helped Liquid previously as well, in order to get over that Astralis hump, because you know Astralis is always going to be prepared and playing well and all of those things. But I do think that EG isn't going to rest on their laurels. Like I don't think that they're going to just think like, oh, we're the best team now. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think you're going to see more adaptations from them.
Well, definitely not after Malmo.
Yeah, definitely not after Malmo. So we're going to get into that. But yeah, I'm just looking at their map pool right now, and so far their only loss on Nuke was to Greyhound. So
naturally,
16-10 to Greyhound, and they have 100% win rate on dusT 2, 100% win rate on Inferno, 100% win rate on Vertigo. Only one map on Vertigo though, and then they're 0-1 on Mirage and 0-2 on Train. But the loss on Train was a 22-20 against Astralis, and this is only since they've become EG. This isn't going back to the time when they were at Energy. This is only since they become EG. So this is only the last 2 events. This is their maps for the past 2 events, and a loss to Mouse Sports on Mirage. So yeah, their map pool is absolutely ridiculous right now. Absolutely ridiculous. And I think that bringing Cash back into the pool is going to help them even more too if Cash comes back in, which of course it's rumored to come back in. So yeah, I think that this team, I think what's going to be great is for the rest of this year, we're going to have almost like a rock paper scissors type scenario with Liquid, Astralis, and EG, where each team can beat each team, and depending on how the matchups work, one of those 3 teams are going to be tournament winners for the most part for the rest of the year. Of course, as that's happening, Malmo right now is kind of working.
I actually think EG has more skill than Liquid right now.
Really?
Depends on what
player for player.
Depends on what time constraints you're using. Like if you're just using since the player break, then you're probably right, because Liquid does not look nearly as sharp. But if you're looking at the last,
but even taking the players in their primes though, like you look at like, I guess besides Ethan is like the one guy that he's been kind of slumping lately. So I could see like, I don't know, like Breeze and Elise are pretty similar.
Sure.
Cirque is better upper than Nitro.
Yeah.
Then you have like I would say I'd say Twist and Ethan are kind of like the similar players, and then obviously Twist wins that. But like when Ethan's playing well, he's similar. I feel like he's been slumping. Like he's been the one player that if he starts like owning, EG will just like win everything.
Yeah,
No, I think you're right. I think Breezy at this point is getting to a point where he can pretty much go toe to toe with anybody on Liquid as far as rifling capabilities go. I mean, I think we've had this conversation before, Davey, on No Majors Club. I think he is going to want to be a top 5 player in the rankings by the end of the year.
Sure, looking like it. I actually disagreed with you at the time when you said that, but based on these last few events, it's hard to argue with it. If they win like 1 or 2 events now, but before the end of the year, I think he's got a really solid chance at it.
Like, it'll be him and Eulogy in the top 5, like, to represent North America in those rankings next to, like, Device, Ziwu, and Simple, and, like, whoever else you might put in there. I think that Twist and Naf are pretty close. Like, they're probably not going to be too far out of the top 5. They're probably, like, in the 6 to 9 range or something like that. And then, so it kind of goes along with what Semphis was saying is definitely these are the 2 most skilled teams in the world, I think, still, Liquid and EG. I think you can make an argument that Mousesports has potential to be just as skilled. We'll see what happens with now that shox is on board. Obviously, there is a lot of skill still on Astralis, but I do think EG and Liquid are up there as far as just overall skill ceiling.
I think Mouse is definitely a tier below in terms of skill.
Yeah, they are for sure.
People have seen people like Chris J's peak, and they're kind of like, well, Chris J could reach this level, but really his level is just like getting one op ace, which is like the highlight of the year last year. Like that's kind of like, and it happens so sparsely and rarely that it's like sometimes in the right situation, Chris J can come up, but he's been consistently like bottom fragging for that team, even with Kerrigan on the team. And that's just like in like modern top tier CS, you can't have 3 fraggers. You have to have 4, if not 5. Like everyone needs to be able to contribute in firepower nowadays, or your team is always going to be a tier below the top. So that's my little mouse sports take.
Yeah, I mean, so let's sort of use that to sort of phase into this. That's not a phase pun. I don't know why I used the word phase. Not a phase pun, I promise.
One of those.
To sort of move into the next topic, which is currently what's happening like right now as we're speaking is Vitality versus Mousesports quarterfinals of DreamHack Malmo. So we can just sort of talk about the group stage. dusT, obviously you casted half of the games. You and Vince were casting that. You got that crazy Fnatic Furia game, which was awesome. But Liquid and EG, both of the North American hopes, both of them crashing out real early. EG earlier than everybody else, and I mean, I'm not a huge fan of making excuses. However, to me, this event almost has the same level of asterisk as like a major after a player break. It's like if you're finishing an event and then as you're done lifting up the trophy and putting it back down, you're going to the airport and getting on a plane to fly to your next event to get off the plane to go and play, you're not going to be anywhere near your level that you should be at. You especially losing, and then you have to play BO1s, and it's just, they're not going to be anywhere near the level that they should be at going into those events.
Yeah, it was poorly timed. Like it was just such a poorly timed event. There should have at least been 1 day, like more. Like
I will say this though for Liquid, by the time that they played Greyhounds, they had a couple of days rest, like at least normal sleep schedule for those couple of days. Greyhounds should be a gimme team any day of the week. We saw what happened to them when they played Mousesports. I mean, they had the 1 map, sure, but Mousesports blew them out in the 2 matches they won to make the playoffs. So it's not like Greyhound is some fucking behemoth sitting out there. They're ranked 28th in the world.
I agree. As far as Liquid is concerned, there's no excuse for losing a BO3 to Greyhound. I'm more talking about the BO1 losses on day 1 and 2.
Sure.
By the time day 3 comes and you're playing a BO3 against Greyhound, you're absolutely right. There's no excuse for the number 1 team in the world to be losing a BO3 to the second best Australian team. Sorry. And
then EG got knocked out by Mousesports, and both the games were very close, one of which was like a double or triple overtime. And Mousesports is a pretty good team, so
absolutely, yeah.
I can understand. Like, that's somewhat of an acceptable loss. In the sense that Mousesports, I think, are pretty close to a top 5 team in the world. I definitely think they're solid top 10, more towards like 6 to 8 range. So, yeah, I mean but the Greyhound one is just like, all right, man, I don't know how that happens.
No, you're right. That's fucked. Like that's so fucking like you know they're hella embarrassed after that. They're just sitting there just like, man, fuck.
It's the first time they've ever been grouped. Ever.
It's actually the worst part is it's actually more embarrassing for Liquid than it was for EG. Even though EG went out earlier and they just went out like bottom of the like last place, it's actually more embarrassing for Liquid because of the manner in which they went out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, anyways, that not good, but we have had some good events, or we have had some good matches here so far. I just want to try and see if I can take a look at the bracket so I don't totally embarrass myself, because you know how I do. Me and Alex have a bit of a history of kind of getting things wrong from time to time.
Yeah,
so
it's occasional.
It does. It happens occasionally.
Really rare though. Really
yeah,
rare.
yeah. So this morning, Fnatic beat Nip. It was a good series actually. I don't know if any of you guys got to watch it, but it was a good close series. Fnatic is looking strong. Flusha looks like he's back. What do we think about this Fnatic team? dusT, I think me and you have probably talked about it at some point, whether we're doing Silvercasts or No Majors Club or whatever the fuck. But what do we think about Fnatic sort of like running it back? And actually, we're able to take down Nip, who actually looked a lot more impressive than I thought.
I mean, to me, the only impressive result Fnatic had so far this tournament is like maybe beating Fury, and even that has an asterisk next to it because they just got Henny on board. But you're playing against a G2 team that literally arrived at the tournament together with zero practice with 2 new players that don't speak French. So that is a whole weird situation. I can't really read too much into a result against them. You beat Tyloo. Congratulations. Like, I mean, it's to me, like I think the real test will be beating Nip was actually pretty legit, considering that Nip had a couple of good games this tournament. But I think the real test is not if they can beat Astralis or not. Obviously, if they could, that would be ridiculous. But if they can at least be competitive against Astralis and put in double digits and maybe even take a map and force it to a third, then I will start maybe having a little bit of interest in them. But right now, I think it's like way too early to call how good they're going to be.
One thing about this Fnatic roster that they're like that's nice and refreshing is just that like basically when Fnatic had their last kind of like they won 2 tournaments in a row. It was like WESG 2017 and then
Katowice.
yeah, Katowice. Nice. It was Lekro instead of Brolin, and Brolin had kind of in my opinion, I think he kind of had a slow start onto the pro scene. People were hyping him up, like JW were like, this kid is the best kid on our team, but it's like then he started dropping like 1.04 at every tournament. It's like that's just painfully average for a guy you've been hyping this much. But now I think he's actually come into form, and I think that's a big difference that we're seeing with this Fnatic. I haven't been able to catch like too much of the games or anything like that, but just statistically speaking, he's second to Crims, I think, right now on the team in terms of stats, and it's kind of like Davies talked about it on the last pod that it takes a year for these kind of prospect players to mature enough that they can actually kind of play to their potential on the highest stages, on the biggest stages, and I think Brolin is finally getting there, and so I mean. I'm not sure what the ceiling is of this Fnatic roster. I would say like top 5 in the world or something like that, but they're proving themselves here at Malmo.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right
Be
now,
fifth.
like sort of at their just at their stats in the last 6 months. This doesn't include their 2 most recent players because HLTV doesn't do that. But Brolan actually statistically, the JW and Crims have both performed better than Brolan in the last 6 months, which isn't ideal. But like I was saying, I don't even necessarily blame him for that. I feel like JW hyping him up so much is almost worse for him. Like it sets.
I think so too.
Like I understand there's so you want to try to give your young player confidence. You want to say publicly that you believe in him, that blah, blah, I get that. I get that whole thing, but I feel like he almost overdid it. He overdid it, especially with some of the verbiage he used and the way he was saying like Brolan's better than every single guy on this team. It's just like, yeah, okay. Well, now everyone expects him to be better than every guy on that team. So
Yeah.
like you kind of got to be realistic with it, but either way, like I was saying to dusT, I think they're going to be a consistent top 10 team going into next year, 100%. I think that they have such like if your core players is Crims, Brolan, and Flusha, you're looking good no matter what. Like as long as Golden does a good job in game leading and JW isn't a fucking handicap, they're going to be a solid top 10 team. So I've been impressed with them so far, but also Astralis and Na'Vi are the 2 teams who won and made it directly to the semifinals, didn't have to play their quarterfinals game. Na'Vi looks really impressive with the changes they've made. Corey, I don't know if you got the chance to watch that and see the whole Guardian Simple dynamic play out, but Na'Vi looks really, really impressive so far.
Yeah, they're the best now. It's fine.
You're not far off. Like they have looked so good with it's been crazy. So I'm just gonna check the stats to make sure I get everything right. But anybody who's actually watched Na'Vi play so far, feel free to jump in and
Well,
give your
the
input.
thing is, right, is like Guardian is just as good as Simple when it comes to just an op. Like Simple is better with every other weapons by quite a lot. So statistically, Simple as an opper is going to be like a better, like overall, he's always going to have insane stats. But like Guardian just op for op is right there. So you basically just traded the same op skill for getting rid of Zeus for Simple rifling. Like,
Dude, you
think-
know what's crazy
about that?
too?
That's
Like, no,
nasty.
you know what's crazy about this too is Simple. Of course, they've played 5 maps. Simple's plus 42 with a 1.38 rating. Guardian
Dude, I'm pretty
is
sure
second.
he has like a 60% headshot rate too. Like,
I-
I'm
honestly-
pretty sure
I-
it's something ridiculous.
Oh,
I
it is,
honestly
yeah.
can't check it, but you know what's even crazier is he has the highest flash rating on his team for the event too, which is just
Yeah.
Dude,
hilarious.
honestly, Simple's kind of a baiter a little bit, but like it's an effective bait. You know what I mean? Like he does a lot of supporting shit, but he's like right there to just rape you. Like at the same time, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I mean, the thing with Simple is you know, when I first heard this change, I thought that he would wind up being like a secondary entry fragger or something like that. Like maybe he would go in after Boomich or something like that and kind of just be like a trade fragger, which wouldn't be as steep of a role change as having to like go play as an individual on the edge of the map or lurk or something like that. But it is also true that Simple did play that role on Liquid whenever he played alongside JDM and Kusta.
That's true.
that's what he did on a lot of his other teams. Is whenever he was like not the opper, he'd always be that extremity guy that just kind of walks
Yeah.
around, like just kind of like literally he just walking around with a Krieg, and like like that sucks if you find him.
Yeah, he basically right now I think he's playing like B tunnels on dusT 2 and like connector on overpass, and he's definitely playing those types of roles while like Boomich and Guardian and
well, if you think about it,
Electronic Deal
imagine
and
you
stuff.
just get the bomb down for the guy. Like it's just like
Yeah.
you don't let him die easily. You know, don't let Simple die easily, and he's always gonna have like round winning potential.
And then if he feels like he can just like push something by himself on the edge of the map,
Oh,
you
yeah,
gotta deal with
yeah.
that. So it's definitely like a nice little dynamic where you're going to be able to kind of almost ensure he's going to make it to the mid to late round situations where you get to like really flex his skill in those chaotic moments or in those post plants. But then he also can just go make a play in the early round if he has a good spawn or
Like-
if he's just feeling it.
I love when good players are like second or third in. I just think when you have like a juggernaut like him, you just really want to ensure he's alive. Like you really want to make sure he's always making it into those bomb down like scenarios, because it's kind of like Cold Zero when he was like the best player in the world. He's there. He wasn't like the extremity guy, but he was never first or second or third in. He was always like, even if he was third in line, he was like fourth in. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so hard to go up against these guys that are so good when you have to retake and they're just holding angles. Like they don't miss those easy shots, you know, like those are just, they're so free kill.
Yeah. I think like everyone was kind of saying it's going to be a 3-way race between Astralis, Liquid, and EG for like, you know, top 3 in the world. That's going to be the ones fighting for number 1. I think Navi is like the closest candidate to a team that's going to get in the mix with those other 3 teams for that now. From what I've seen so far, I mean, obviously it's still really early days and hard to call, but when you think about the fact that so far it seems to be taken to the roles nicely, Blade's getting involved, more hands-on as a coach. I know he's got a great mind for the game. So I think that they're like the leading candidate to be the next person that's going to be in that race for number 1.
No, I agree. Like they've looked so solid, and I love the way that they're playing their. Honestly, I said beforehand that I didn't think they should pick up an opper when you have Simple, who's the best opper in the world, best player in the world. Let him play how he wants, blah blah. And then it came out. Simple said he didn't want to op anymore, and there was all this thing, and I was super skeptical about it. But fuck, man, are they good? Like they've looked so good. Guardian has looked so good. The most impressive part for me is Boomich, though. Boomich has been killing it as an entry fragger.
Have you seen the guy? He's a unit. He's
he is. He has a 62.5% success rate on entries. Like that's fucking good. That's good.
like
I mean,
all
it's only-
these teams are like they're trying. We got a sports psychologist. We got nutritionists. Fucking Navi's bringing back Guardian and Boomich as being just the 2 units of the team. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and he's
it's
attempting.
the old philosophy. They're bringing it back.
No,
I just think this though, like I want
They
to take
need
it
a
with
good
a grain
hair
of
though.
salt.
They need a good hair. I don't know who has
Good
got
hair
that.
guy.
Oh my god, the old.
No, I just think that we have to like not get too excited because they really haven't played anybody yet. If we're fair, like their bracket was pretty light, so I really want to see what they do against their semifinals game is going on right now against Mouse Sports and see how they do in the finals. Then we can kind of call it from there.
Well, it's not.
That's the
going
weird
up
thing about
against
this whole
Mouse Sports
event,
yet.
by
We
the
don't know
way.
who they're playing yet. We don't know who they're playing.
There
They're
was-
either going
there
to
was-
play Mouse Sports or Vitality.
Right. I mean, this whole event's kind of weird because there's 16 teams and maybe only 5 to 7 of those teams actually have a stable roster. So it's a really up in the air because of that, I feel.
I don't know. I just think you look at the Navi lineup and it's just like, all right, Simple best player in the world. Electronic would be the best player on the team if it wasn't for Simple. He'd be the best player on like most teams. If
Yeah,
Sim-
you
you
put
know what I
him on
mean?
any
Like
team, and he's one of the best players on the team, no matter what.
Yeah, because you have to think about it. He's putting up these stats with Simple on his team taking his kills. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you take that away and you give him the freedom to have better roles or like more potential for kills, and he would probably have even better stats than he does. And I just think the guy's so good, and he's not underrated because everyone knows he's good, but he's really fucking good. Like world class, best player on your team. Good. He's just lucky enough / unlucky, depending on how you look at it, that he plays with Simple.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point, and he's also married and has a kid, so that takes him down like about 5% at least.
At least
skill wise. So when you consider how good he could be, if he
What do you think he should do to reach his full potential? Then?
Well, he's gonna.
I think he's got to gain some weight.
He's got to get divorced.
He's got to gain some weight. Those are the two most important things.
I think he can stay married if he gets fat enough. You know what I mean? Like if he.
The fat percent gained has to outweigh, quite literally outweigh the marriage.
So what kind of body fat percentage are we looking at for electronic? Like
this is a Corey question. Yeah, I was gonna say 40, but
he's got to get like
40.
Yeah, 40 would be max potential right there. I don't think you want to go past 40. You know, like I think there's point of diminishing returns, right? Like you get too fat,
just get slower.
Like you're just breathing heavy as you're playing, and that's probably not optimal.
Well, honestly, Corey, I will say though, like as far as that team goes, their fat to skinny ratio is probably at about that point right now.
No,
it's really good. I think it's really solid.
Their own, like I love it.
Yeah.
Like.
No, I think that's actually important. Like Corey's always said this. He's always been of the opinion that you have to have enough fat guys on your team if you want to win.
I mean, just look at EG. Like. Kind of also in that similar ratio.
But they've all been losing weight now.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh man, dude, no wonder they didn't
eat
do well
enough in New York, man. Yeah, they didn't eat enough.
You'd be surprised. The carbs here are so good. Like,
yeah, Cirque, I'm happy for you that you're losing weight and all, but if you want your team to be successful, you're gonna have to start eating again. I don't know what to tell you.
It's kind of like those comedians in Hollywood. Like they're funny and stuff, and they lose weight. No one wants to see a skinny comedian anymore, so they got to gain it back. You know,
like because half of their jokes had to do with them being fat.
Because they're like the awkward fat guy in the movie. You know, like it's not as funny if you're like a good-looking guy, and they're like, haha, like what are you making fun of anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Self-deprecating humor definitely loses a touch when the guy gets like a little more handsome.
It's not as fun anymore. But
what do you guys think about like you guys talk about skill of rosters, right? So you have like Na'Vi. All right, everyone knows they're all good. When I look at a team like Astralis, they're like the best team in the world still in my mind. Like I know Liquid is, but like I still think consistently wise, like they're just so well refined. Like that's why I respect them the most just for me. Like I just like all their strats and setups and everything they do is like so. I don't know. It's just a level above everyone else in my opinion. But when you look at their team, they're not like. They don't have like way more skill than everyone they play. You know what I mean? Like I always feel that they're like 5 second best players on a team. Like they don't like Device is fucking insane. Don't get me wrong, but like the rest of them,
he's set up a lot. He's set up. And I'm not saying that to diminish him in any way.
Right.
I'm just saying the team is built for their players to succeed. The team is built that way. You wouldn't be able to just plug and play Device onto another team and he still puts up the same numbers. Is my point. He'd still be like Corey said, the best, if not the second best player on the team. But there's certain teams where you could put him on and there'd be more skilled players than him on the team, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, and it's just like all the players, like no one really stands out as like man, this guy's fucking insane, but they don't need to be like.
Yeah, they don't.
I think dupreeh was the best entry rifler of 2018, and when he's getting you openings consistently, that does make the game a lot easier.
I think dupreeh's fucking insane too. I just don't. Yeah. I don't like you put him on Na'Vi. Do you think he's the best or second? No, I don't think he's.
No,
you put him on Liquid. Is he the best?
I agree with you overall.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like you take their players and you stick them on other teams, and they might even not even be the second best player on the team. That's why I think they're so good, like as a unit.
No, it's incredibly impressive, like because of all the famous Astralis, the way that they use their utility. It's like what they're famous for.
They're always every single like tournament they play. Their like trade percentage, their utility ADR, flash assist, like even 4v5s. They're always just really good at that. They have these game plans, they have these protocols, and just like if you're doing like. I don't know, like 50 damage in nades every round or whatever number it is. Like you actually don't like that Reddit post that guy made about how they just body shot people. It's like that's part of their like mentality that they just don't need to hit nasty headshots. They don't need to like perfectly jiggle you and just like one tap you out or anything like that.
Because they
It's
go
just, like,
beyond Inferno, they don't rely on the need to run in and like flick a dude in the head with like an insane one shot. It's all planned. You know, this is Molly, that's not Molly. Like if there's a guy here, you're gonna die, but he's gonna trade. Like it's all while that's happening, device is just double scoped, waiting to cover. Like it's all planned. Like
they section off every engagement in such a way that it's just like it's drills for them. They make every match into drills.
They're definitely the most structured team in CS right now, and we're in an era.
I think in CS history, to be fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And we're in an era right now where you kind of have to be able to play a little bit of everything. Like you can't just play one style of CS and get away with doing that one thing. Like you can't just be fast and loose all the time, or doing set pieces all the time, or doing defaults all the time. Like you have to be able to mix it up, pacing changes, all that good stuff. And so Astralis has the best defaults in CS, and they have for a very long time. Their roles are some of the most defined of any team out there, because Liquid is a little bit shaky on who's doing what sometimes, especially opping. Even EG, sometimes the roles can fluctuate a little bit. Whereas Astralis, you know who's doing what and when pretty much every single round, but they still have the capability of changing the pace. I think they're one of the best teams at cadence.
They're very dynamic. Like they don't. I would say they're not even. They don't even have that many set plays. I don't feel like in terms of like this round, we're going to execute on B. Like they just have a bunch of mini plays off of what happens.
Yeah.
So they're just like it's hard to read.
They had the best cadence as well. Like they set up later rounds by what they do in earlier rounds. Like they'll like run a certain thing multiple times in a row, get you having to worry about that, and then they'll like run it down your throat on a bomb site in the first 10 seconds to next round, and like you just can't expect that to happen. So that, and they have like all these gimmicky things. Like they're the ones who are inventing these triple nade stacks and stuff like that. So they just have a little bit more than everybody else when it comes to, I think, their approach.
Yeah, Astralis is like they're like the best, the most well-rounded team we've ever had in CS, and as far as like just the way they play, it's just they're so fucking good. But now we're looking at this other team who actually we have another guy on another team who's the only guy who's been so far been close enough to be able to compete with Simple as far as skill goes, and that's Ziwu. And now we've actually seen.
Is it Ziwu or Zaiwu?
Okay, so I've asked French people this, and Maniac told me when I asked him, he's like, sometimes it's Ziwu, he doesn't care, and I was just like, okay, that's fine. And so when I asked him, I was like, so how, but how would a French person say it? And he said Ziwu, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna say Ziwu because that's how the French say it. So that's how I say it, but apparently he doesn't care. Ziwu doesn't matter to apparently. So. Mm-hmm. That's it. So I say Ziwu because that's just what I say, but it doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't actually matter that much. So for anybody else wondering,
I'm gonna call him Big Z.
You can call him Big Z. I don't think he'd care. Well, yeah,
ZZ.
Yeah, you can call him
ZZ.
Call him whatever the fuck you want.
ZZ Top.
Okay.
Again, also kind of a unit of a player.
Yeah, also kind of a unit. So. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. You ruined me with all the memes are too strong. I've been ruined. Oh yeah, so we've seen now they actually just lost the second map as we're recording this to Mouse Sports. They did win map 1, so we're going to map 3. But we've actually seen shox and Ziwu playing together now. The shox versus MBK thing, that whole drama happened. shox has come in. And so far, and this is very early, it's not early enough. I'm not going to be like, oh, shox is back. Blah! But shox has played the exact role they want him to play perfectly this whole event.
shox
and
is
he's
best,
been putting up
back,
numbers.
best player in the world.
Yeah. And also shox is back, best player in the world, number 1, 2020. But he's been closing out rounds, he's been clutching, and he's been putting up ridiculous numbers so far this event. So it's too early to tell for sure, but this could actually be the chance for the whole Vitality resurgence. We might have a top 6 in CSGO for the rest of this year that is ultra competitive if Vitality gets into this as well.
Yeah, it's kind of insane that I was just talking about how I feel like the tier 1 you have to have like 4 fraggers. To me, Vitality, they ride off of Ziwu. I'm not going to go back into Ziwu, but they ride off of him so hard that he actually can elevate them to, like a top 6 status. I don't know if I would call them like at like the tier 1 events if they're always like competing for first place all the time, but they're like really darn close. They're making playoffs.
I think he's the best carry in the game.
Yeah, I think
just
I'd have
in terms
to agree.
of carry potential, because there's a difference of being really good and getting a million kills and like actually carrying your team. I know that might sound weird, but it's like a play style thing. Like if you're just always like a raid boss, like left at a bomb site waiting, and you're always getting 2, you're fucking so much harder to play versus than like a dude that you can sometimes kill because he goes too aggressive. You know what I mean? Even if that guy's better, because you can, unless you just avoid him, he's always there. He's always retaking. He's always getting 2 kills every fucking round, and it's just annoying to play versus.
Yeah, it was tough because on one hand, you could say that the MBK removal was kind of a knee-jerk reaction to the major because everything outside of that, they had placed like top 4, made the finals. They looked like they were definitely consistently getting really good results. But you could always kind of tell that they were missing something. Like they didn't have quite enough firepower to really, truly ever take over the #1 ranking because like during that run where they were making a bunch of finals, like Alex and Apex really stepped up and were putting up some really big numbers. But the moment those two didn't have as good of a time, then it really was just back to Zyu having to carry the game again. And I feel now with shox, like even though, you know, I'm still a little bit torn on how I feel about the roster move overall just because of how it happened and when it happened and kind of their trajectory. You can't deny the fact that if shox gets in good form, that's that other star you needed, you know, next to Zywoo or Ziwu, whatever, to give you a real chance to really compete skill-wise with some of these other teams that are kind of contending for top 3 spots in the world. And I don't think it affects their roles too much. I don't think it affects their overall approach too much. The only way it can go wrong is if like shox starts taking up like too much resources as far as like what he wants and when he wants it. If he tries to like take into the leadership or something like that of the team, that's the only way it can go wrong. But he gets back into a classic role he's played most of his career, and he's performing pretty well so far. So if that keeps up, that does give you that added X factor you didn't have before, where someone else can be a star besides Ziwu.
Yeah, so far he's just been clutching, dude. Like, it's been crazy how clutch he's been, which is like exactly what they needed on that team. You know, they have entries, they have Apex. You know, like Apex is still a solid entry, no matter how you look at it. He's still a solid entry, and they have RPK. Between Apex and RPK, you have. I don't think RPK is that great, but all things considered, it's fine. But now that they have like a solid round closer, like where they don't have to rely on Ziwu to get the entries, stay alive, and then win the clutch. Now that they have a second guy who they can rely on to clutch a 1v1 or a 1v2, I've seen him get like 2 or 3 1v2s, 1v3s so far today. And if you have a guy where you can rely on somebody like that with the experience and the skill shox has, it's hard to find a better round closer in the game than shox. So I think that they look really solid so far. Again, this is all entirely predicated on one event, so can't read too much into it. But
yeah, he's ranked 2nd in clutches for the tournament so far.
Yeah.
shox.
Oh no, he's been killing it. He's been absolutely killing it as far as clutches go. And that I'm glad that like statistically that's true, because it definitely passed the eye test where you're watching it and you're like, this guy is winning them rounds. Like he really has been just winning them rounds. So that's been awesome to see. Even though he's not like the super flashy shox he used to be, as long as he's getting clutches and as long as he's winning rounds, like that's enough. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Vitality play just in the future, just in general, because I love watching Ziwu. He's so good, and like I'm saying, as long as if they have shox here too now, that's just gonna be fucking awesome to watch. So I'm looking forward to it.
How was casting with Vince?
How is casting with Vince?
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you think? You guys' rapport is good or what?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, we've been friends for like 3 years. You know, we've known each other since like 2016. We casted our first event together way early in that year. We did a bunch of DreamHack Opens in 2017. We've always entertained the idea of doing together, and we tried it a couple of years ago, but it's got to a point where if you're not like one of the elite duos, like the top 3 duos, or I don't know how you consider it now since, you know, Sadakis and Henry aren't doing it together anymore. Maybe Machine's just a natural replacement and they still want to be in a top 3 duo. It's really hard to get TOs on board to always hire you together. You know, some TOs are just like, yeah, it's a given. We're going to hire Anders and Moses together, and we're going to hire, you know, James and DDK together. And before it was Sato and Henry, now it's Machine and Henry, it seems. But if you're one of the other duos, it's like sometimes they just want to like mix and match a lot. And so it can be really hard to try to get someone on board with it. But I enjoy working with him. I think we're good friends. I think he's a fantastic play-by-play commentator. I think he's one of the best at telling a story and getting hyped during like big moments and being able to like kind of craft the narrative and also find ways to plug me in to get some analysis. So I think the dynamic's great. And we enjoy working together. So we're hoping we'll get to keep doing it. We have Rotterdam coming up, and then after that, we're not sure. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy working with him. I think there's some things I need to work on still though. Because I'm coming out of being an analyst into being a caster, and I'm still trying to kind of, even though I've done casting in the past, you know, a little bit rusty, I think, and so I'm still having to work on some timings and stuff like that. But yeah, I think in the long term, if we get to keep getting reps in together and keep getting the work together, I think we can build a pretty good product.
It's good to hear. It's kind of weird when Vince dipped out kind of from casting for a period of time, right? And
Yeah, he retired and then got back in the game.
yeah.
Of course, that meme had to come in.
Yeah, he retired, then he got back in the game.
Yeah, it's just tough because sometimes we'll get offered stuff where like the other person didn't get the offer. So, for example, he did the minors for Berlin, and I didn't get offered to go. So it's like I'm not going to hold him back from taking those opportunities. Like he needs to make his money and get out there and get exposure and work on his game individually. And so that's going to happen. Sometimes I'm going to get an analyst desk offer. Pretty rare, but sometimes it happens. And it's like,
to build the desk or to work on the desk?
To build the desk.
Sometimes a little bit of both, I dabble.
You want to make sure you're available for all possible job
Yeah,
opportunities.
exactly.
If they need you to build the desk and then work it, that's even better.
Yeah, that's a nice little two-for combo.
Yeah, just go ahead and double the day rate. It'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, sometimes we're not going to always be able to get together like we want to, but that is like the primary goal, I think, for both of us, if all things go according to how we would like things to go.
And I've told you this before, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I actually really like your casting. I like both of your duo's casting. I actually really like it, and I hope you guys get to go to more bigger events because, but we all know how some of the politics in the scene work. You kind of, it's kind of rough sometimes.
It's just tough because there are so many talented people in the talent pool for CS. Especially in the analyst pool. That's really another reason why I kind of got more into casting was because me getting hired as an analyst was just like not going to happen anymore consistently because I'm not a former pro and there's a fuck ton of them now who do a really good job. And there's always people coming in, like lately we've seen nothing come back. Sean Garrett's has come back. Obviously Pimpin', Sponge, and Maniac have been kind of a staple for a while. And then you have Thorn obviously still out there and Vendetta still out there. And you have several different guys. So, and obviously there's less analyst slots at events than casting slots. So that comes into play also. But yeah, so it's one of those things where there's just so many good people. Even outside of the top duos, like you have Harry and Hugo, they're really good. I think they're a great duo.
True,
I think
they're really good too, yeah.
Scrawny and Launders are really good. I think Tom Biz is a sleeper out there that does a really fantastic job.
Doing much casting lately though.
Yeah, I think it's just because you'll see them a lot more here very soon. I think it's just that whole like player break and them not being involved in the minors kind of made it to where they weren't like recency bias kind of kicks in that you haven't seen them in a while, but I think they're still doing a bunch of blast stuff. They'll be at some DreamHack stuff coming up as well, like they're doing Rotterdam with me and Vince. So I think you'll see them kind of come back into the fold in a pretty big way to end off the year and into next year. But those duos are really good. And then, like I said, you have Tom Biz sitting out there. Pansy still does some CS now and then. Machine's back in the casting now. Like there's a lot of really good casters in CS, man. And there's some I haven't even named that also do really good work. I don't mean to offend anybody. I just can only remember so many names on top of my head. But there's
anybody who he hasn't named, it's actually super weird.
You're just shit. You're just so bad.
Before the show started, he actually told us like he had a list of people. It's like these are the people I'm gonna mention. These are the people I'm not mentioning, and all of these people fucking suck. So like the fact that he would go back on that now once we're live is crazy. But whatever.
So fake. You're so fake, dust.
We can't control dust. We can't control dust.
Unreal.
What can I do?
He's just his own man. We can't control him. He comes on here. He's just putting everybody on blast. What can we do? What can we do? So
what do you think?
Go ahead, Alex.
I've got another question about I guess with casting. Like, what are some things you've like done that have you try to like consciously improve your game as a caster? Like, are you trying to not just go at it? I don't know what you even do.
Well, the first thing I did was like build a really big knowledge base. So I really just got like a routine down of what research I wanted to do and how I wanted to like bring insight into the broadcast. I knew I was going to either do desk analysis or color commentary more. So I just wanted to make sure that I was like watching demos and knowing how people played and keeping up with like what people were picking and banning and what people's results were and like recent player form, like all those types of things where you just want to like actually have a good knowledge base. But then I got to a point where I almost felt like I was trying to prove myself too hard, like prove that I knew what I was talking about too much. Because I feel like because I didn't have that former pro player credibility,
that's a chip on your shoulder if you're not a pro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I felt like I got into that like way too much, and it caused me to kind of focus too much on just being like a fact spitter and not actually focusing on trying to be entertaining and be a personality, so to speak. And so I think now my focus lately has been to try to bring more energy to the broadcast, try to focus a bit more on being an entertainer and not so much on all the research. I still want to have that. I think that's the thing that you have to find that separates yourself from everybody else is like, I think, most duos now are kind of hybrid where like both people kind of do a little bit of both. Like obviously there's like one guy who's more of a play-by-play than the other, but Henry G does some play-by-play here and there. Moses does some play-by-play here and there. So it's kind of like a hybrid in some ways. Whereas Vince and I kind of want to be more of a strict, like, okay, I'm going to be the analyst color caster guy and you're going to be the play-by-play guy. I have messed that up sometimes though, to be fair. Like sometimes I do just get into the game and I start doing play-by-play when I shouldn't be. And like that's something I need to work on as well. But I think right now my focus is just to kind of find a nice balance between like injecting like nice supplemental information that brings insight and like makes the cast have like more of a story to it because I'm bringing data that kind of emphasizes certain storylines, but also making sure I don't lose track of the game itself and lose track of like the balance of me and Vince and how much we're conversating and stuff like that, right? I think also to a degree though, you have to not overthink it and just at times just kind of like let loose and have fun. Sometimes
that's kind of what I'm thinking is like when, especially like even when I'm watching analyst desks and you can see like you're watching somebody trying really hard to like be a presenter and they're trying to like they're changing their voice and they're making themselves talk like this and yes absolutely this and it doesn't sound real, like it sounds dumb, like it doesn't fit. It's like nobody talks about the game like this, like you're only talking about the game like this because you're presenting, and there's a small aspect of it you want to change, like you want to make sure you're using the right lingo and you don't want to use the word like too much and like this and like that. That's something I do, so like I know you have to really like consciously think about that and make sure that you're not doing it. But a lot of the times you just need to like that's what I love about Sponge. Sponge never looks like he's forcing anything. It never feels like he's forcing.
He's Australian, dude. They just do whatever they want.
I will say that helps him a lot. That the Australian accent.
White is fucking cunt.
I think it's just reps.
And people are like, oh, it's fine. You can say
it's
that.
It's just the reps you get though, right? Like I think you're constantly tinkering with what you do and what your brand is and what you feel comfortable with. And sometimes you're gonna miss. Sometimes you're gonna like go too far in one direction. It's not gonna go well.
Well, honestly, I don't think that's ever happened for you.
Oh, the Smiths thing was like the perfect example of me going too far in one direction.
No, never. It's never happened for you.
But no. So it's about you're always constantly trying to. I mean, at least I can't speak for anyone else, but I think most people are always trying to make those adjustments and tweaks that they think is going to get them to like the optimal version of themselves. And you're going to have to experiment sometimes and try some different things and see if you feel it or if you don't feel it, or if you just never want to get stale or kind of too comfortable, I guess.
I know what you can do. First, gay caster. All right, come out.
Just come out, dusT. Just come out. No,
it doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Yeah, they can't call you on it. They can't call you on it. You just do it. You just announce it.
That backfires really bad, though.
It'll never.
No, because then they'll be like, oh, we need at least one gay guy. We can't discriminate.
Yes,
are you by chance transitioning?
And it can't backfire, dusT, because no matter what, they can't call you out for it. You just say like, oh, you have a girlfriend. It's like, dude, are you seriously gay shaming me right now? Is this real? Are you kidding me?
I'm bisexual.
I'm bisexual. Yeah, I'm bisexual now. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't think I want any part of this.
All right, that's fine. I'll take it. It's all good. No worries. I'll do it.
You don't want more jobs.
Davey is now
to play the system. You're white. You're discriminated against right now. You got to play other cards.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm officially coming out as the first
transition. You're transitioning right now.
No, we're not going. We're not going down that road, Alex. That one is the one you avoid no matter what.
Nah, dude, you just come out as asexual. Like you just.
What the fuck is that?
That's a nice like neutral one.
What the?
All right. So fun story. A long time ago, I was like, I found out about asexuals when I was younger.
Okay, wait, pause. Pause.
This might
just pause for a sec. Just pause for a sec.
Might go somewhere.
Someone give me. Is asexual? Does that mean when you just like don't want to fuck anybody? Is that what asexual is?
You're not sexually attracted to anything. Yeah,
you're just.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It just means jerking off is too good.
So I found out about this. No, they don't even jerk off.
I'm just kidding.
They. Anyways,
do you
so
think
I was
if they have like wet dreams, they get like ashamed of themselves for like.
Probably because I was on this. I went on this forum, right, and like it was an asexual forum, and they're all like there's a thread, and it was like. What do you like? Why are you asexual or whatever? And people are like, because there's better things to do, like laundry. And then a bunch of people are like, haha, I agree. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, I get it. Like, you don't have to do it, but like, laundry's not fun.
I'm not getting any kind of release off of laundry.
Like you couldn't say like skydiving or something.
Yeah,
like
there's something
you went with fucking laundry.
And that's
like the smell of clean clothes. Yeah.
So I think the point was that like it's a waste of time. Like they see it as like
it.
that person at least saw it as a waste of time. So I was just like, oh, okay.
Sometimes
to
I'll
each their
see
own,
a
but
chick
some
and I
people
think
are also just
it's
wrong.
not worth
so.
pursuing, but like, come on, like, still.
I mean, I guess if you have no desire, you have no desire. Like, you can't just fake that.
It's true.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
no.
true. No, like I said, to each their own. Whatever they got going on up there makes them decide to do that.
Oh, I don't care, man.
Fine,
you can like want to have sex
fine.
with dolphins for all I care. Like, it doesn't.
I'm not sure about.
We're probably stretching
agree with
the. We're probably.
I'm not sure if I agree with
We're
that
probably
one.
stepping
but
over the line with
don't-
bestiality, Corey. Let's
Oh,
probably.
this shit is
Yeah, seriously,
monetized.
I'm not saying
Real
like
fast.
a little problematic.
get a dolphin and you trap it and you like props to you. Like, seems like a lot
You
of
enjoy
work.
that yellow dollar sign later on YouTube.
Okay, wait. Now, how about
Yeah.
yeah, right? Fuck. How about
This is already
if you're
demonetized,
being
goddamn.
fucked by a dolphin? Like you're not the one fucking the
What is
dolphin. You know
Well,
what
that's
I mean?
the thing, right? Like, if
Because then
you
it's
coerce it,
consensual.
if
Then
a
it's
man-
consensual at that point, right?
that's what I always think, right?
'Cause
Like,
dolphins
if
are
it's
pretty
a
rapey,
male,
so-
if it's a male
are.
animal having sex,
No.
like, then they wanted to do it, right? Like, that's not as bad.
I'm
No,
up
I
for
look.
that.
I
What?
agree. I agree.
I
I
gotta
when
go,
it's a
guys. I
female,
gotta go.
it's a little
Peace.
bit-
I sign
when it's a
off.
female,
I
it's a little
sign
bit
off.
different because you're kind of like you don't know, you know. I mean, like,
Okay.
Yeah, it's the peaker's advantage.
Yeah, no, I sign off 100% with whatever Corey's opinions are. Everything Corey says is 100% factual and true.
that's true.
It says it right on his Twitter, so I agree with everything he says 100%. And dust also agrees. With
Well, sign up for this.
Dust agrees with
These
this shit.
recent messages do not reflect the opinion of me or anyone I represent.
No, this is actually what my Twitter is going to become now from now on. I'm just going to start leaking things that are just completely false. Every
There you
single day, I'm just going to put out a tweet, just like leaking something, and just say, "Yep, no, this is definitely true. This is something that's happening now," and then we're just going to start leaking it. Me and Corey used to joke about that way back when, about when like
Yeah.
about
Just make up like a fake story about someone, like
Yeah.
but a bunch of true ones before it. So like, why
Yeah.
would you lie? You know?
Yeah, you say a bunch of because there's lots of players talk a lot of shit behind the scenes, right? And most of that stuff doesn't come out, but sometimes it does. But a lot of the time, stories just circle around the pro scene, so you could just like make shit up about people and just like tell someone, and then just watch it just fucking spread like a fucking psycho. Like,
No, people don't know. Like, a lot of people are like high school all over again when it comes
It's
to shit talking
ridiculous.
behind backs. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, there's one thing not to like to people, but people will talk like shit or like make up rumors and stuff, and you're like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, the worst is when like you hear a rumor that somebody made up and you hear somebody telling you about it and you know it's not true and you just go, dude, that's not true. And they're just like and they're just like, oh, I didn't actually know if it was true. I just heard somebody else tell me that. I'm like, then why are you spreading it? Like, why are you trying to tell me about it like you have this sick info? I know it's not true. I tell you it's not true and then you go, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's not true. Yeah, somebody else told me that it was. So it's like, okay, sick. Like, awesome. Keep it up, man.
I've never liked being much of a gossiper because, for one, like, are people never afraid that like they were the only one told, and like I'm always thinking like, well, if I tell someone, then that person will never trust me again if I'm the one that leaked it. Like, do you not want to like get info from people anymore? Like, I know about roster changes before they happen quite often, but I also don't tell people so that I keep being told. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like that. Like that's the thing. Like, yeah, I guess we can just talk about this because I was debating
I
on
gotta go
whether.
open the door really quick.
Yeah,
so
no
hold on.
worries.
It's
Yeah,
like-
no problem. Yeah, go and get your fish heads. This there's no like I didn't necessarily want to talk about this, but I decided I'm going to. You know, like there's this story that came out on RushBMedia. Alex, I know you know those guys pretty well. I don't know the guy who wrote it. I don't really.
I don't know
care.
the writer, but
Yeah.
I published an article that I think you guys should read actually on like my interview with the guys that made Cash.
Oh,
I interviewed Volcano and FM Pone, and I thought it was a pretty solid and insightful.
And that's on Rush. So
piece.
where can people find that?
Is on RushBMedia, and I retweeted it, and FM Pone retweeted it actually. So
There you go. Anybody who wants to check
that's a
that
cosign.
out.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to check that out, go get it. And but the problem is they released a story, and they're saying it's investigative journalism, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I don't know what the facts are behind this one.
Yeah, so I do. I like, and the problem is that there's almost, when you do a story like that and release it in the way that they did, there's almost no responsibility for if it doesn't. So so here's the thing with investigative journalism. Even if somebody like Richard or like DK or someone who are like proven investigative journalists that have a 100% track record, they're great with everything they do. If they release a story and then it doesn't end up coming true, you know that story was, regardless of if it came true or not, you know that story had legs to it when it was reported, right? And the same thing happens. So for me, and a lot of people are saying I'm hating on this guy, and I'm just hating on him, and I'm trying to knock down investigative journalists, even though I've publicly said the complete opposite about investigative journalism, and I think it's great, and I think it's awesome to have people doing it well in the scene. My problem with it is even when I read the article of saying that, like, oh, sorry, I don't know if we even mentioned what the article is, but it's that Liquid is looking to replace NAF with automatic. That was the article that got released. And when I saw it, we were even talking about it live. We were streaming live when the article got put out, and we all assumed that this was a legit thing. Like, we didn't immediately go, oh, who is this guy? He's making shit up, blah, blah, bullshit. And it's all on my VOD. You can check it out. It's on Corey's VOD, whatever it is. You can check that we were all legitimately talking about it as if it was true. Then after the stream is over, I go and I start messaging people. And when I say messaging people, I'm not just fucking messaging the Liquid players. Be like, hey, man, are you doing this? And they're like, no, man, we're not doing it. Like, no, I'm not a fucking idiot. But I'm actually messaging people. Team owners, players, management, people who were at the event. Not one person, other journalists in the scene, not one person had heard even the tiniest sniff of this happening. So when that tells me that this is a bullshit story, and I don't fucking like that, because if there was any legs to this shit, there would be more than one dude writing for RushBMedia that has sources on it. There'd be more than one guy. Somebody else somewhere in the scene would have known something about this besides just this guy. So that's why I'm calling bullshit on that story, because it doesn't pass the fucking sniff test. I don't care. He's like, oh, you don't know me. I would never make up a story. I don't give a fuck. I don't know you. I'm not, it's not personal. I'm not, this isn't like a personal thing that I've decided you're a guy I don't like. No, I look at the story. I assumed it was true. I checked into it. Smells like fucking bullshit. That's the reality of the situation from my point of view.
It's always tough because like that headline is always really vague, right? Like having conversations like that could be like such early stages that it doesn't even ever get any legs to it ever. That's way different than like, you know, saying that it's in motion already or something, that like waiting for a deal to be done. You know, it's way different when you're saying conversations or someone's interested in or something like that. Like, so the wording can always be a little bit tricky on that. I think it is rough whenever it's not a big name journalist from CSGO. Like, no offense to the guy, but I had never really heard of him. You know, like I only really know like DK Nell, Richard, you know, people like that for the most part.
Hassy.
I mean, he's not a traditional journalist, but sure, like he's definitely a guy that's known as someone who does leaks, sure. So yeah, like it's always tough. And the thing is, like the only time I ever heard anything like this was on By the Numbers. I think like they speculated it, like Richard.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
So that's the only time I've ever heard any rumblings about this.
And this guy told me that he's been sitting on this story since the major. The fuck? You think that CS teams could keep a move like this a fucking secret for over a month? And right after a player break, they would just decide that they want to get rid of
why
NAF?
Wouldn't he release it earlier?
Don't ask me. All I'm saying is this was him replying to my tweet saying,
no, I know, but I'm
I've
just
been
saying, like, if
sitting on
he did
this.
know that, why wait a month? Like, I don't, like...
It doesn't make, none of it makes any sense. And if you really have been sitting on this info for a month, there is a 0% chance that this wasn't getting leaked to other people. That's my point. Like, if you really had this info for over a month and you've just been sitting on it, and you think there's not one other investigative journalist in the scene who who's just decided they're not going to look into fucking Liquid or some shit, give me a fucking break, man. Give me a fucking break. There's no way.
Part of me wants to give benefit of the doubt because I don't know what his sources are.
Well, that's the thing. I gave
just get a
benefit of
hot
the doubt
tip.
to begin with. That's the thing. And then I looked into it and decided, nope, bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's really hard to say. And like, what if he's just in like a retake one time and someone just like jokingly asks someone on Liquid like, yo, so you guys can replace NAF? And then
I'm gonna
lol.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt on that. I don't think that fucking happened. But what I will say is it could have been something as simple as maybe he's got a contact in middle tier Liquid management, and after they got knocked out of the major, maybe they're one of his friends, and he's talking to them, and some guy on middle tier Liquid management who wants to seem like a cool dude in front of his friends, he's like, yeah, dude, it seems like I've heard some rumors that the team might be considering replacing NAF.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then from his point of view, that's a Liquid person who works for the org giving info about a potential roster change,
Right.
that might be enough. That might be enough. When in reality, that person has no real connection to the fucking CS team whatsoever. Or even if they do, they're just saying like let's say like what if the owner of the team I've worked with a lot of org owners over the years. Corey has as well. Sometimes when you lose, org owners say shit to other. They'll say shit like, "Oh man, this player played like fucking shit. We might have to replace him in the future." And then the next day they're talking to the team and everything's just relaxed and calm and they work everything out and everything's fine. Just somebody vocalizing something that maybe they're unhappy with NAF in the team doesn't mean that they're making a fucking roster change. You need way more concrete shit than that before you're going to write an article about it and before you're going to put it out there and potentially sour relationships within the team going into a super important period for them after a couple rough results. Like, this isn't the fucking time to be publishing bullshit. That's my problem with it. So yeah. Anyways, that's my rant over, because I really don't like that people were insinuating or saying to me that I'm like taking down new investigative journalists in the scene and I'm using my platform to discredit people and blah 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 blah. It's like, no, that's not true. I'm actually, and I've publicly said this and I'll say it again, I am a big fan of investigative journalism. I think it's good to have it in the scene for people that are doing it correctly and sourcing everything well and making sure everything is legit. I'm actually a big fan of it. I think it's awesome. Publicly saying that, but you have to do it well or I'm going to call bullshit. And that's the thing. It wasn't done well. So I'm calling bullshit.
It's always a tough judgment call for me because I've seen too many times where a report like this comes out and no one really believes it and people deny it, but then it winds up happening anyway. So it's like one of those things where for me, like as a commentator who's trying to keep up to date with teams and what's going on because I want to be more informed, whenever I go do my job on a broadcast, it's always tough because I can't tell you how many times I've seen this exact same pattern happen.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for the community. I'm just talking about from my own point of view.
Right.
The community is something else. They do their own thing.
The only difference between this scenario and other ones is another journalist came out and said, I haven't heard this. Like that, which is what DK did. And that's the only time I've ever really seen that happen.
I also talked to other journalists privately as well.
Yeah, it's just tough because you can never really trust a player on the team when they say, I haven't heard about this. Like, people do that shit all the time, bro.
That's why you can't ask the players. That's why you can't ask the players.
So basically, my point is like my perspective on this situation is like, obviously I'm skeptical, but I'm not going to just say that it's for sure not true because I don't know. Like, maybe a conversation did take place.
Well, that's the thing. No, that's what I mean.
Never know.
I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying he didn't get this info from somebody he thinks is credible. I'm saying that the info didn't come from anybody credible, and he shouldn't have written a story about it. It wasn't enough to write a story about. That's what I'm saying. Not that he didn't get any info.
Personally,
might be right.
I get why people release it. It's an easy way to become like semi-famous, right? Like you get some info, you release it. What I don't get is like all the people that like. Okay, I like hearing stuff too. It's like cool when you hear Rush injuries, but like realistically, who cares? Just wait. Like it'll happen eventually. Like you don't always need to know things early. Like things are hidden for a reason.
Sometimes teams are the tip because they want the double coverage. Like some teams will literally leak it because they think they're going to build like even more hype around it if it gets leaked and then like a week later you make the official announcement. You get to cash in on it twice. So that does happen sometimes too, or sometimes it's a negotiation tactic for a player contract. So there's a lot of different things that can happen that kind of make it to where it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, because Davey could be right. Maybe this is all just complete BS and this guy's lying. Like, I don't know.
No. I don't think he's lying. I've said that. Okay. I don't think he's lying. I don't think he just made this up. I think he got a shitty tip and didn't investigate it enough to write an actual story about it. I think he jumped the fucking gun on this story, and he got a shitty tip or some shitty info and decided to run a story about it. That's what I think happened. I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's a liar. I'm not saying he just made this up out of the blue. I mean, maybe he fucking did. I don't know. But I don't think
Would you fight this guy, Davey?
Oh, 100. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Why not? Let's set it up.
Good.
Whatever. Let's set it up. Let's put us in a ring. We need like a real. No. So I've been talking about this. This is what we need in the CS scene. I've been talking to a couple different people about this. Fuck these like YouTube boxing matches. We need like CS player UFC fights. That's what we need. Like, we need to get the UFC involved. We need MMA fights.
I feel like the players are worth too much money to hurt themselves. Yeah. Punching with their hands.
Corey, don't be a fucking pussy, bro. So what we need is the MMA fights. We need the octagon. We need to set up these players. Dude, we could think about how fucking crazy that would be. Can you imagine some of like the big name fights we could have between like the for disputes between players and shit? Like, even think
I've
even just
already
this past
said
weekend,
publicly, I will fight
Yeah.
Glaive versus
Perfect.
MSL.
Yeah, Glaive versus MSL. Could you imagine? Put them in a fucking octagon, get Glaive versus MSL to go at it. Yeah, I was about to say we can't do FNS versus KNG.
Where's your
because-
tactical death now, bitch?
Yeah.
Fucking RNC. Where you going?
Exactly.
Where you going?
Exactly.
Get your way out of this, execute, motherfucker.
It'd be perfect. It'd be fucking perfect.
Yeah,
and obviously
I
we
feel you.
can't do FNS versus KNG for obvious reasons. So
Dude, if
someone
there was a
else has
fight,
to.
Glaive
If there
versus
was a fight to
MSL,
make-
there'd be that pre-game show smoke that comes up. MSL's lost. He's just done. He's smoke goes down. He's on the ground.
He has to take his hat off. He's already out. You
Yeah.
know, it's already a done deal at that point.
So we'd have to have a champion to take FNS's place in the fight. Corey has obviously said he volunteers as tribute, so we'd have Corey versus KNG. Think about the card we could have, man. It would just be fucking incredible. That'd be such a sweet event. You could make so much money off that event. Oh, that'd be so awesome. I just
You
love
could.
to watch that.
It would be
I
entertaining.
will not do it in Brazil.
No.
I will not go there.
No, we will not come to Brazil. We'll do it in another country. Pick something else. But that would be that'd be awesome. Like that'd be a cool thing. Like way better than this YouTube boxing thing they got going on.
UFC X Peakers Advantage.
Yeah. Hopefully,
And then the winner.
Hopefully,
of
we
the
could get that
CS fight
contract,
the
Alex.
YouTube star.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the winner. Oh, but they're doing boxing though, Corey, and for the YouTube
yeah,
stuff, we'd have to convince them to do like an actual like MMA fight.
That's not gonna fly.
No, of
I
course
mean,
not.
but it would
of
be
course
fun.
not. But it'd be fucking amazing if we could somehow
For
organize
sure.
it.
People would definitely watch it. There's no
Anybody
doubt.
who's interested, I'm down. Reach out. Let's set this shit up. I'm fucking down. That'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, right now, Vitality versus Mouse Sports, dusT 2. Fuck dusT 2, by the way. Fuck dusT 2. Fuck dusT 2.
It is the most boring map to watch.
So
Probably.
terrible.
Davies
Poor
like,
guys.
oh hey Corey, you haven't played CS in like 7 months. Hey, we're gonna have a dusT 2 match versus ATK. You want to
Look,
play right now?
I thought it was Mirage. To be fair,
I log in, I'm just like, oh fuck.
yeah. To be fair, I thought it was on Mirage. So yeah, I didn't. That was a mistake for me. I think we all
Although we
thought it
did
was
get a lot of
Mirage.
rounds though. We did
We
get a
got
lot
10
of rounds.
rounds. That's not bad, considering it was like the best team in MDL, and we just threw together a team like 10 minutes before the game started. So we did pretty well. But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure with
alright.
some work we'll win MDL.
Yeah, I'm not coming out of retirement. I'm just standing in. That's it. I'm just standing in for the season.
That's how it always starts, Davey. It's a slippery
No,
slope
it's yeah, fair enough.
before
Maybe,
you're back in the game.
yeah, no, I won't be getting back in the game anytime soon. I mean, even though technically I guess I'm back in the game, but
You are. You literally played the
I'm
game.
just standing. Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
Really
Technically, I'm back in the game, but I'm not coming out of retirement. I'm just standing in. I'm just
He's not
standing.
staying.
No, I'm not staying. I'm not staying in the game. I'm just back in the game, but I'm not staying in the game.
He's pulling a Michael Jordan. He come back for a little bit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
and then you go, and then you.
Oh
leave.
shit, I'm not 25 anymore.
Yeah. Oh shit, this sucks. But seriously, like CS is so hard now. These teams everyone's so good. Like being a top level pro now, like everybody is so fucking good at the game. There's so many demos to watch. Kids play so much. It's like this game.
It's
has
just you don't
gotten such
get
a
as
high
many free
level.
kills as you used to.
Yeah,
Like there
yeah.
used to be times where like you'd catch a guy with a flash out. Like you know what I mean? Like there's more like mistakes that were made often, and now people are just like ready. Like it's I don't know. Plus the fucking Krieg. Fuck that gun.
It's on another level right now, isn't it? Like it's so fucking
Yeah.
good right now.
It's not even just annoying as a CT because then the CTs take it from you and then they have it and then you're like entering a site on a dude that has got a fucking Krieg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of needs to go the same way as the AUG, I think. Either you need to do some type of like fire rate decrease or something like that, like they did with the AUG, or it needs to be like massively price nerfed. Something.
Maybe you
something.
just like maybe you make it so it just doesn't one shot when it's scoped or something. Like I don't know.
I feel like they'll just lower the fire rate and raise the price.
Yeah, I think they'll end up
There-
doing the same treatment.
You make a tiny little adjustment though and you ruin the gun. Like no, but you know what I mean. Everyone just goes back to the AK, so it's like I don't know how to really fix
I
it.
don't really mind if people.
Some
just go
people will
back
still
to
use the Krieg though. Like as long as you
Yeah,
lower
they
the
will
fire rate a
use it.
little bit, it's still good. Like
I
Well, like
think-
the AUG is still good. Like,
yeah, the
I
AUG's
think,
still
but-
good. I still use the AUG. Not all the time,
I-
but sometimes. Mix it up.
I kind
depending
of
on the
wish
spot.
they would
actually play around with movement speed of guns, because I think that would make people really think about it and like kind of like you have to define your role a little bit more. Like you can't
Yeah.
enter with a Krieg if the move speed is down like 10 or something like that. You'll just be you're too easy to hit.
That's true.
But-
That's a
fair
valid
enough.
point. That's a valid point. Actually, I didn't even think about like nerfing it.
Because
using
right now it
movement
seems
speed.
negligible, the difference between the two. Like
it's
it
5.
exists, but
it's
not,
like
yeah.
nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I didn't
Wait,
even
it's
think about
actually
that.
slower?
it is, but it's
You
just
move-
negligible.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even
Yeah,
notice.
I
it's 5.
honestly never even felt slower at all.
If it were like 15 lower than the AK, you would definitely notice it, and you'll be like, I just want to like run in.
Dude,
and
what about this? All right,
hit it.
hear me out here. So what if you could buy movement speed for any gun? So like for like you have an op, you can like purchase for like 3K like scout speed. So you're just flying.
Oh,
This
or,
better cost $10,000.
Yeah, yeah. Or you all the weapons with scopes, you just take the scopes off of them, and you have to buy a scope. So if you want a Krieg with a scope on it, you gotta fucking buy the
Could
scope.
you imagine an iron sight
attachment.
op? Holy
Yes.
shit!
So here's what you do.
So
you make
wild.
the scope is worth 1K. You lower the price of the op from 4,750 to 4,000. So you can iron sight the op, or once you build up more money, you can buy that scope and add the scope to it. Now it's 5K,
Jesus.
but you throw that scope on it. So and then if you want, you could put the scope on a fucking Deagle if you wanted. You could put it on an M4. You just buy a scope. These are the ideas Valve needs to be thinking about.
Yeah. Honestly, I should work for Valve, but they don't want to hire me. It's weird. I've never actually asked. I just feel like they should ask me. You know.
Yeah. Dude, real talk. Like Valve needs a fucking community manager. They need a guy.
They need a pro. They need an
Mhm.
ex-pro or like a pro. They need someone working for them, man. Like,
Yeah, just at
they need-
Davey CSGO. Valve, you need to just run your
even if
community
you just
manager
have
for you.
someone to be like, hey, we made this change. Can you tell us if it's literally terrible or not? Like, they don't even have to prove like they just have to tell you like, look, this is gonna break the game. Like,
Yeah.
change it a little bit. Like,
Well, that's
because there's
it.
so many updates that come out where like literally it's just like a game breaker, and you're just like, did you even test this? Did you even like enter a server?
Yep. And somebody who's like, so it's like, okay, like let's say hypothetically I'm the new Valve community manager. Before an update comes out, I reach out to 10 of my pro friends and like, hey guys, you want to come play test this? We want to run blah, blah, blah. They come test it. They give feedback. I send that back to Valve. Valve takes the feedback on board. They can choose to use it or not use it because it's Valve. They'll do what they want. And then when the update comes out, you're the guy that everybody throws the hate at. Like, if let's say Corey's their community manager, when an update comes out, if shit's broken, you'll see everybody adding semphis. Semphis, talk to Valve about this. Semphis, fix Valve. You take all the heat off Valve, push it all onto Corey, and then Corey can go and talk to Valve and be like, guys, we need to fucking fix this. This shit's broken. Everybody's saying this is broken. And then Valve can say to Corey, like, no, we're not fixing it. We like it. And then Corey goes back to the community. Sorry, guys, they fucking like it. I don't know what to tell you. Like he's like the middleman, and he can interact with the community for you, you know? But maybe not necessarily
Valve's
me or
like,
Corey,
so
but
Semphis,
somebody.
you don't think that none of your pro friends like the idea of the dual-leash firing like the CZ? No. no one likes that
You
idea.
can fire, if you click both mouse buttons, you can actually fire both at the same time.
That's kind of what I was thinking, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, you just double tapping.
but I was thinking like
just
CZ fire rate because this is Valve, so they take an idea and then like enhance
Oh,
it
full auto?
one step too far. Yeah, like just like the CZ automatic fire rate double pistol.
Yeah, like you can just left click and it all shoots like the left CZ, and then you're out of bullets. That one reloads. You spam
Yeah,
the right
yeah.
click, out of bullets. That one reloads. You can just alternate them, like
You
straight
do
up.
both at the
dualies.
same time. Like it's
Yeah,
just
you can do both at the same time. If you're in a 1v1 real close with somebody, double the damage. That'd be a great
Can you imagine
idea.
how fast a dude would get deleted just
Oh.
double clicking like
It'd be fucking
like-
insane. Like you just make the range real bad, so you can't do it from any distance. It has to be real close. Honestly, Valve, take notes. This is a
The
good
problem is,
idea.
I just don't think it would matter. I don't think it would ever change their mentality even if there was a community manager. Like, I think they would just be a frustrating position that you probably think
I
you
agree.
want, but you really don't.
No,
Like,
it
you
would
really
suck.
aren't
It would
gonna love
suck
it.
for the community manager, but it would be really good for the community. It would suck for the community
think I've-
manager, but it'd be good for the
I think I've
community.
told this story before, but I still remember when we went to the Valve office way back when I was in like an Area 51, and we were there, and they were showing us like the next patch, and I remember we went in a server, and Daze like threw a flash at the ground, and it went so high. It went like, you know when you throw a flash at the ground, it bounces up a bit. This thing literally went like 15 feet in the air, like 5 models high, just on like a normal throw. And Daze was like, yo, this is like not right. He's like, and they're like, oh no, we copied the nade directory directly from source, the coding. And he's like, no, this is not right. And I'm like, yeah, that's like this is insane. And then they're like, nope, no, it's right. You guys are just misremembering. So Dave's just like downloads source. Like he just clicks download and goes in it, and he doesn't even say anything. He just throws a nade at the ground, and it like bounces and falls. And they go, oh well, something must have happened. So it's like he didn't even say anything. He was so mad. I've never seen him more mad. He was just like, because he knew he was right, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But they're like just telling us that we're wrong. They're like, yeah, no, the code's copied directly. So even when you're like the coder of a game and you copied code directly from another game, you can still fuck up.
No, absolutely. Like
That's the moral.
It's just the shit just happens, man. Like that's still kind of in the game. Like if you crouch, aim at the ground, and back up when you throw the flash at the ground, it flies up into the fucking sky. Like you can throw the flash.
It's not like
super high. Yeah, not as high as what Corey said, but
it gets over headshot level boxes, which is nice.
I believe the reason that, you know, when you get hit with a nade and it just stops you, and like when that was like to stop one of the bugs that they had, where like you could run boost them with a flash. Remember? You know when you could like if they ran on your head and then you hit them with a flash, it would go like flying through there. Yeah.
Classic.
So the fix for that wasn't to just take that out of the game. It was to make it so the nade just stops you. Like that was their fix.
Yeah, that's why when people throw nades, if they hit you, you just freeze.
Which is by the most fucking annoying thing in the world, by the way. Like you're like, oh man, this guy's dead. Oh shit, I got hit by a smoke, and then you just die, and you're just like, oh well, fuck me, I guess.
Wait, what the fuck just happened in map 3 of this game? Are they going overtime right now? I wasn't paying attention.
It's
8-7
Oh,
half.
halftime. Okay, I was wondering why we were like cut, but it wasn't over. Okay, 8-7. Damn, this is gonna be exciting. All right, well, dusT, we're wrapping up towards the end of the show. We're almost hitting an hour and a half.
Nice.
So you've traveled to a few events in your days. What is the worst travel day you've had going to or from an event? Look at that ass.
Funny
Look
enough,
at that ass on Corey, dude. That guy's got a fucking butt.
extra C's on that one. But to be honest, I've never had too bad of a flat travel. Like I've definitely had like bags get lost and have to wait on them for a couple of extra days. I've had delays. I've never like really had anything like crazy. The worst travel story I have is one that was self-inflicted. It was like totally my own fault.
What'd you do?
Basically, I was at E-League and we were having a little drinking session outside after the like first week of the season. We were just hanging out like out in the patio because like the hotel bar was already closed because it's like super late at night. And so everyone just like raided their mini bars in their rooms and just like brought it out to the table outside. And we're all just like, drinking. And some people show up. I think you've probably heard this story, Richard, tell it on No Majors Club. This dude came with a skateboard, and I was just skating around with the skateboard, and I was doing fine. But then at the very end, after I was done skating, there's like this thing you do where like you basically like stomp the back of the board and it like launches the board up into your hand. And for some reason, like even though like I accomplished all the most technical, like complicated shit drunk somehow, this part, for whatever reason, I just couldn't handle it. And so the board just like shoots past my hand and like hits me in the face. And it basically like puts my tooth, like one of my like canines, like through like the like skin above my lip. So it's like a big ass hole in my face. So I'm just bleeding all over the place. So Richard like notices and is like, oh fuck. And he like takes me into the bathroom and he's like got his fucking fingers in there, like trying to like stop it from bleeding and like, all this other stuff. And eventually it comes out to, hey, just stick like these napkins in your mouth and like just sleep it off, bro. So so obviously I'm drunk. So like your blood's like, not flowing properly, like it's thinner or whatever. Like that's what alcohol does. Yeah. And so then I'm just laying in bed and I wake up the next morning. My flight's that morning to go back home after like, the thing was over. And I wake up super early in the morning, maybe like 4 hours of sleep or something like that because we were out super late. And I wake up, I'm still bleeding. Like there's still like blood like coming out of this hole in my face. And then worst of all, I have to get on the plane. So like I'm on the plane, hungover and bleeding. I was still bleeding when I landed home. Like it was still just oozing blood after
Did you end up
I
going to the
landed
hospital when you got home?
Oh, absolutely not.
No, good,
absolutely
perfect,
not. Like,
perfect.
I mean, eventually healed up like that day.
It does
like,
that,
I actually. So, but I had like a big ass scar and I had to like use this shit to like get rid of it. I had like this big ass scar like right below my nose. So that was kind of a awful travel experience, like just bleeding on a plane while hungover. But it was all my fault, right? So,
Yeah.
but I've never had like what you're probably thinking of, like a big delay or getting stuck somewhere or anything like that. The worst it was ClutchCon because we all got sick, so everyone had the flu.
Yeah,
on
no,
the plane.
ClutchCon fucking sucked. That's true.
Yeah.
Just about everything about ClutchCon sucked.
Yeah, and just so you guys all know, Diane was patient 0, just so everyone's aware of that.
Dude, I was hanging out with her that whole weekend. Obviously, we were, because we were together at the time. But I didn't get sick. I was like the only one who didn't get sick.
Maybe you were patient 0.
I never got sick.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're patient 0,
Is
though.
it? Oh,
One
okay.
quick question for dusT. You said you were doing technical things on the board before you tried just grabbing it. Are you busting like fakey tray flips and like what are you doing like? 50,
It was just like base. I mean, I wasn't trying to go too hard. Like I was drunk, so it's just like an ollieing onto something, like one platform to another. Like nothing like insane. I was never that good at skateboarding, to be
Just
honest.
doing like 12 steps, just flying out.
No, it wasn't going for like I knew my limitations, right? Like I knew
there was even like randomly a half pipe, and he went up and did the 720. He went up and did the 720. It was fucking crazy, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
it wasn't that technical. I kind of overhyped that part.
I never do like the after party drinking thing at events because it's always the night before is when the after parties are, and then the next morning at like 4 or 5 a.m. you have to wake up to get to your flight. And I've made that mistake one time. Yep. And that was the worst morning of my life. I was puking in the airport. I was puking on the plane. I was sick the entire time. It was awful. I hated it ruined the whole event for me. Like I hated there's not a single good memory from that event now because that's all I can think about.
Actually I have another one now that I think about it. Now you brought that up. On my way back home from DreamHack Tours this year, which is only just a few months ago, I went out drinking after the event was over. I actually didn't have an early flight, so it was like I thought, I'll be fine. Like I get to get up at like noon or some crazy thing like that. So
that actually is really like late.
Oh yeah,
like when you said not early, I thought like, oh yeah, I only had to wake up at like 7 or 8.
No, this was nuts, dude. Like I leave in the afternoon or something like that. So it's like, crazy. Yeah, dude, no problem. I'll still get like a good 8-9 hours of sleep. This is not a big deal whatsoever. So I don't know what happened. I still to this day don't know exactly how it happened. But when I woke up in the morning, my phone was destroyed. Like it was just shattered. Like screen was shattered, doesn't turn on, doesn't do anything. All the stuff I need, like my boarding pass, my emails, everything I needed to actually travel with, I had nothing, bro. So I'm literally just flying blind to like train stations and to the airports, having no idea like where I'm supposed to go and all this stuff, dude.
But it worked out though. You figured it out.
Yeah, I mean I'm here, so
yeah, there you go. That's
it all worked out in the end. But
yeah, you're not still stuck in France.
Yeah, so that was another wild one that happened.
Yeah, there's always good ones. There's always tons of like crazy shit that goes down. But a lot of stuff obviously you can't really talk about, especially stuff that goes on at after parties. A lot of that stuff sort of gets lost.
Yeah, I've never seen anything too crazy to be honest.
No?
Maybe
that was more of a back in the day kind of thing. Maybe recently it sort of chilled out.
I mean, I've seen people get messed up and do the typical things that someone does when they're messed up, but I've never seen something like too insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't in Montreal and all that drama broke down, for instance. Like stuff like that is pretty crazy. I've never like been around when something like that's happened.
Well, Corey's never been much of a drinker. I'm sure everybody knows that. He's not really much of a partier. So I don't know if back in the day, Corey, like in 2014, 2015, if you were going to those after parties very often, but there was some wild shit that went down at those ones. Yeah. Because there was always some like... Yeah, there was, especially when you like get
the French people and the Polish people would drink like crazy.
Yeah, the Polish guys for sure. The Russians and the Polish guys. If you're ever in like any sort of Eastern European country or at Asia too, Asia has like crazy for whatever reason. At the Asian events, there's always crazy after parties. I don't know why, but it just sort of works out that way. But
I still remember I went to like one of these lands and shox and like Happy went like clubbing the night before, and they were like just passed out, just hammered. And they had won the event. Like, just like
was that ESWC?
No, it was like Gfinity or something.
Oh yeah. Anyways, yeah, shit. It used to be. It's a way more professional now than it used to be. That's for sure. It's not even close.
You also get older and just realize you can't get away with that anymore. Like your recovery is just way worse. So definitely had to stop that. pretty early on. Also, if you're going to like every event, eventually you are just going to ruin your life. Like you do have to eventually be like, all right, I am at an event every weekend.
I really
so
think it's just the
maybe-
culture's changed. Like I think like the pro
all getting
scene
older.
culture has changed. Yeah, people are getting older.
Well, I think, and people get more mad at teammates. I think,
Yeah.
like, dude,
It's
what the
just more
fuck? You're
professional
getting
now.
20K and you're just going out drinking.
Now you have
this
like
is your
managers
job.
behind you as well.
yeah,
and, like,
it's just a lot more
traveling with the
professional
team.
now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to get pissed when people did that shit. Like, I would drink on the after party day if we got knocked out, or like if it was the last day. But I wouldn't even have like, a glass of beer the night before. Like, I just thought it was like I just think if you're getting paid to do the job, like be professional.
Yeah.
Like you can wait. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been like on a 1 drink limit if I'm working the next day. Like,
Yeah, I
get,
mean,
like,
everyone's
1
different, you
that's
know.
it.
Like I'm sure 1 drink does very little, you know, in the ways of
Yeah,
damage.
it's almost
but
not even worth it to just do 1 drink, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like just have it. Well, it's more of just like I'm gonna sit down and hang out with you anyway before I go to bed, so I might as well just have a beer.
Yeah.
Like that, you know.
Yeah,
I was just
fair
thinking, like, as a player, I'm just kind of like, it probably does nothing, but why risk it? You know, like,
Yeah, sure.
1 drink, like, I don't know.
I got you.
The other thing is too, like especially with casting, there you rely on somebody else too. There's 2 people you rely on, but in a team like where there's 5 of you, if one guy gets wasted the night before and ruins it for the other 4, that's a lot more unprofessional than hypothetically if you're an analyst at an event and you just don't do your job well. You're only hurting yourself, right? You're obviously hurting the show.
Well, as long as you're not super fucking wasted as an analyst, like
Yeah.
you should be okay
Yeah.
to be able to do it, you know. Whereas like as a player, you might be able, like, if your reaction's compromised, but like your
If
comms,
you're
like,
even
it's still
10% worse, that's a
yeah,
lot
like
at that level.
yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, well that
Not
is an
saying
hour
that
and a half.
being an analyst or like a caster is like super easy, but like in terms of like you don't have to play, you know, like
Yeah,
there's no
there's definitely a
reaction
difference.
time, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, well that has been an hour and a half. dusT, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. You have anything you want to pimp out? Maybe, I mean, your Twitter is up on the stream there, but anything else you want to pimp out you're doing? No, nothing.
Not too much. Just got Rotterdam coming up. I got one other thing coming up, but I'm not sure when this comes out and if it's been announced yet. But I'm doing one other thing here in October that'll be pretty fun. And then other than that, just trying to stay on the grind as much as I can.
All right.
That's about
well,
it.
everybody, don't forget to follow dusT. Also, don't forget to like the video, because if you like the video, that helps push it to the algorithm. So if you've watched this far, probably should have asked for likes at the beginning, but that seems a little shilly. So, yeah, thank you everybody for watching. If you've watched this far, don't forget to subscribe to the Peekers Advantage channel. Follow dusT on Twitter. Subscribe to him on YouTube. I don't know how much YouTube stuff you still do, but just all dusT stuff. Follow it, subscribe. Also, if you've reached this far and you enjoy the content that we've been making, and you want to support the channel, want to support everything we do here, Patreon.com/PeekersAdvantage. There's everything from $1 to $5,000. $5,000, dusT. I don't know if you're interested. You can have all of our bathwater. I don't know if you're interested.
That's pretty reasonable.
dusT is actually already subscribed. I just checked. Check right now. Yeah, he's already on. It's
Perfect.
great. Thanks a lot, dusT. Thanks for the support. We appreciate it, of course.
Thank you very
For
much.
sure.
So thank you for everybody for watching. Don't forget to do all that stuff. Check everybody out. This has been I think it's episode 16, but I might be wrong. So
we're actually adding another tier, 10,000. You can have a bath with Davey.
Oh, perfect.
Or your host of choice. But
yeah.
Davey's the clear option here.
For $10,000, I'll take a bath with anybody at this point. It's fine with me. All with anybody.
Now we know his price.
Oh, absolutely. No, just for a bath, like
Everyone's got a price. Huh?
everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price.
There's always a price.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everybody for watching Peekers Advantage episode 16. Don't forget to do everything I already said. This is like the 3rd time I've said it. So
Comment.
peace out.
Comment.
Oh,
it's on
comment
return
as
fire.
well. Yeah.
It'll be on return fire if you comment,
That's
and
true.
it's like angsty.
And if you post really good memes about dusT in the comments, we will feature those on Return Fire. So
There you go.
get on it. All right. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.